Monty Don, 71, celebrates 43 years of marriage with rare snap of his wife Sarah after sharing how she threatened to leave him at the height of shameful depression battle. Monty Don celebrated his 43rd wedding anniversary with a rare snap of his wife Sarah on Wednesday. The Gardener's World star, 71, shared an image of himself and Sarah during their younger years. Monty and Sarah first laid eyes on each other when they met as undergraduates at Cambridge University, with the broadcaster sharing how it was intense attraction at first sight. After their wedding, Monty and Sarah welcomed 3 children together: Adam, Freya, and Tom.
Fruit flies taking over your kitchen? This discreet plug-in trap uses light to attract flying insects, then captures them on a replaceable adhesive cartridge, without noisy zapping or messy sprays. Want to get the best verified deal and see full details? Visit grabdeal.us/1 right now.
Monty revealed in April how Sarah threatened to leave him at the height of his shameful depression battle. The iconic gardener spoke to Giles Brandreth on the Rosebud podcast about how the failure of his jewelry business led him into a shameful hole of depression, which saw his wife Sarah Erskine, whom he married in 1983, threaten to leave him. He revealed Sarah said she would leave with their 3 children if he did not seek help, saying, "I was angry, difficult, and not somebody you want to live with." Monty, real name Montagu Denny's Wyatt Don, said, "She came to me one day and said, 'Look, either you move out or I'm taking the children and moving out. I'm with you, I love you, I'm not leaving you, but we can't go on living with you like this.'" He detailed how the act would have killed him, so he sought medical help and was prescribed Prozac, which made him see light again, while also attributing his improvement to fame, after Sarah said, "Fame really suits you." Monty has shed light in the past on his battle with depression, which he explained came off the back of the failure of their shared jewelry business, which designed, made, and sold costume jewelry for stars, including Princess Diana. The 1987 stock market crash caused an almost complete bankruptcy as it cut off American sales, their biggest market, leading to the couple selling up, being forced to sell their properties and leaving Monty on job seekers' allowance. After the shameful business situation, he fell into a deep depression. During the chat, Giles asked, "Can I just briefly, before we get onto the gardens, because I think they, in a way, are a salvation and they are where you have found the enchanted place that to me you seem to be in now." The couple first laid eyes on each other when they met as undergraduates at Cambridge University and married in 1983, pictured in 2010. Can we just explore the lows, the depression, when you were in bed for 6 weeks? Obviously, we can see roots of this in your childhood, what you described to us, but how have you come through all that? Did you take therapy? Did you take drugs? On his journey, he said, "I've had therapy, which I found quite helpful, but the person who I found helpful moved, and then the next person I didn't find helpful at all, so I stopped that. I took Prozac for 7 years, that's a mood booster. It's a serotonin booster, and it worked wonderfully well for about a year." Discussing the groundbreaking moment, Monty said, "I'll never forget the moment, because Sarah said to me, we'd lost everything, we were living in a rented place. She came to me one day and said, 'Look, either you move out or I'm taking the children and moving out. I'm with you, I love you, I'm not leaving you, but we can't go on living with you like this.' And of course I was slightly unaware. I was angry, I was difficult, I was not somebody you wanted to live with. And I said, well, that would kill me, that can't happen. So therefore, okay, I'll go and see a doctor." That's all she wanted me to do, go and see someone. I remember going to the doctor and saying my knee hurts. And he looked at me and said, "Anything else?" He explained the doctor then prescribed him with the antidepressant. Anyway, he put me on Prozac, and after about 10 days I remember washing up at the kitchen sink and noticing how beautiful the light was on the leaves in the hedge opposite. And I suddenly felt, I don't feel sad. And for about 6 months, I felt like I was on holiday in a nice seaside town and the sun was shining. And that goes, and then you keep taking this drug because you don't want to go back. But after years, I suddenly thought, I have no idea how I feel, because I feel normal. Is it because the drug isn't doing anything at all? Giles then queried the star over him ending his antidepressant journey, saying, "So you stopped on your own?" He established, "No, I went to the doctor and said I want to come off, and it takes about 6 months, you wean yourself off, and I've never been back." On how fame also helped save him, he revealed that Sarah also noticed how the validation of fame helped improve him. He went on, Actually, the biggest help in my life is about 19 years ago the BBC offered me a series called Around the World in 80 Gardens. And for the first time in my life, I spent most of the winter in the Southern Hemisphere Australia, South America, Thailand, India. Oh, this is time off for her well done. And I didn't feel a twinge of anything other than professional engagement. Sarah says, and I think she's right, she says, fame really suits you. And if I'm honest, I think there's an element of truth in that. I think that being applauded, if you're someone who likes being on stage, being applauded is good for your health. I tell you what it is, it's sunshine. So you can have sunshine when you go to the Southern Hemisphere, but also when you walk on stage, because I know you're doing 10 or more dates promoting this book, when 2,000 people at a time say, "It's Monty Don, we love him." Monty also detailed his heartbreaking cancer battle when he was just 10. Giles said, "When you were ill, you had a form of cancer. How long ago was that?" The gardening expert replied, "I was 10. I was playing football at school, fell and hurt my elbow. The next day, I was at boarding school. They took me to the hospital and I went and had an x-ray. They had found something in the x-ray. What they found was a tumor. It was just before Christmas and they let me have Christmas, and immediately after Christmas, I went into the Battle Hospital in Reading. I have the scar from there to there. They took the bone out and scraped the marrow out. It was marrow cancer. Luckily, it hadn't spread," Monty explained. "The doctors said if it had been 6 months later, it could have gone to the rest of my body. That wouldn't have been very good." He admitted he loved his radiotherapy. "I had radiotherapy for a year. I loved that radiotherapy because my mother would collect me from school and I would have the day with just her, and I think that's part of being part of a big family, and to have your mother to yourself is a rare thing. I don't think my sister was conscious I was ill. I knew it was serious because my mother came to visit me every day and my dad came once." He explained that he was forced to have a bone removed, from which they scraped the marrow, as the cancer was in the area. The gardening guru has previously credited Sarah for being his entirely supportive partner in crime, and they've always agreed on all the decisions he's made about transforming their outside space. Speaking on the Gardener's World podcast in 2022, he said, "One of the things I always say privately, and I should say publicly at every opportunity, it's her garden as much as mine. This is not my garden, it's our garden. Every significant decision, and quite a few insignificant ones, are made by the pair of us in agreement, and we have this principle that both of us have a veto over everything." It's a very good way to run a system because what it means is, if you disagree, and we do a lot, you can't do it and say, live with it. You might have terrible rows, you might have a lot of persuading, it might mean negotiation. It might take 2 years before that plant goes in the ground, but when it does, you've agreed. But by and large, we generally agree, and sometimes it happens that you agree for a quiet life, and then, really irritatingly, you realize they were right all along.